were born for more than this. I got tired of shrinking small, tired of breaking for their rules. I looked at me and finally knew I was the fire, not the fuel.
Many of us fail to realize the cultural essence of our roots. Because of the conditions we've been through historically, we were taught to hate our hair, and sometimes, without even realizing it, we pass the same feelings down to our children, especially our dark skinned young girls, and that affect their self esteem, their self image, and their self sense of worth. But that raised the real question: what conditions created this? And more importantly, what issues come from it? Like I discussed in my first YouTube video, what dark skinned girls really experience in life, the black community has been subjugated to conditions that didn't just disappear, they evolved. From slavery to systemic oppression to internalized hatred shaped by the lack of representation we see in mainstream media and today's societies. Those conditions led to three main issues that continue to be passed down. Colorism, texturism, and featureism are those three issues. Even though we did a deep dive on colorism in my first video, what dark skinned girls really experience in life YouTube video, we have yet to break down the grip texturism has on our community. And now the time has come. What is texturism? Texturism is a form of discrimination against people with tighter, kinky, or coily hair textures, while those with looser, wavy, or curly hair texture are often given more privilege or seen as more acceptable in society. Where does texturism come from? Texturism comes from systemic oppression and racial hierarchies placed on black people, similar to colorism. It was reinforced during slavery as a tool of control, helping to establish Eurocentric beauty standards, where straighter or finer hair was seen as acceptable, desirable. How does colorism affect dark skinned black girls? Dark skinned girls with Afrocentric hair tend to learn to internalize this bias within society, especially in their personal and academic lives. Even though texturism isn't physical, harmful to younger dark skinned girls, the violence they face from this issue is real. It's emotionally and mentally damaging to the perception they have of themselves. Although texturism is deeply implanted in our society, the issue shows up in different ways in our lives and environments, unfortunately, in their homes and community. They deal with this issue the most. They are often exposed to coloristic, texturistic, and featuristic beliefs that promotes Eurocentric beauty standards. We are conditioned to believe early rather than later from those who claim to love them. They are more often met with teasing, name calling, or comparison with those who are their peers in their personal lives with looser texture hair. In our personal lives, we often hear or heard as young dark skinned girls terms like you have bad hair, she got good hair, her hair is better than yours, I wish you had good hair like hers, why isn't your hair soft like hers? You got that nappy hair. Your hair is too thick for me and anyone else to do. You need a perm, a relaxer. Why does your hair look like that? You need grease, heat, or something on that head of yours. You can't go outside looking like that, and so much more. That's used to ridicule us for the natural attributes of our hair. Even go as far as to think our hair has an incapability to grow longer than other hair types. Because of the shrinkage our hair naturally produces. However, the humiliation we feel doesn't just end with teasing, name calling, or comparison. Most of the time, our family members, specifically our parents or caregivers, use chemical processes to change the texture of our hair. And while this action may be done with care and good intentions, it still reinforces the idea that our natural texture isn't acceptable as it is, and the damage this causes us mentally, emotionally, and physically. After all, it's what society deems as acceptable and not the mental, physical, and emotional well being of the Black community, but more specifically, young dark skinned girls. A good example will be this video right here.
So y'all, we got this little baby, and her mom put a relaxer in her hair, and her hair has fell out.
In 2026, there's absolutely no reason for parents to be relaxing their little girl's hair. Relaxers have been proven to disrupt hormones, cause cancer, cause fibroids, among other issues. There's absolutely no reason for you to be relaxing your child's hair, let alone keeping it in that state while it's relaxed. We need to start calling this out and calling it what it is. It's child neglect. This is child neglect. How do you leave your child's hair looking like that? And I bet you the parents would not walk around looking like that. Either she has a laid bust down wig or she's got nice braids. She would not leave the house looking like that. And this is how we pass on self hatred and texturism and dislike for our hair onto the next generation of Black girls. It should have ended with us, but instead we're perpetuating the same dislike for our hair texture, and we're teaching it to our little girls. How is that girl supposed to feel when she looks in the mirror? And what are you conditioning her to think about her hair, her textured hair in particular, especially when it's in that state? Guys, as Black women, collectively do better, because it's not just about you. There are little Black girls coming after you, and they're inheriting the same self-hatred that we inherited. And the question is, when does it stop?
It stops when Black women allow themselves to be honest with the self hatred they have with their appearance, specifically their kinky hair. The same belief we grow up with are the same ones we are using when we are raising and treating the next generation. Even though it didn't start with us, it damn for sure will end with us. So the real question is, are we ready to unlearn it, or are we going to pass it down? Which leads me to my next point. How does this issue translate into the educational system? In the educational system, studies have shown that younger, darker skinned Black girls are often targeted by their educators because of the texture of their hair and the style they choose to wear it. As ridiculous as this issue may sound, the harassment and the microaggressions that young dark skinned girls face at the academic space happen more often than not. Black children, specifically young dark skinned girls, are often underestimated when it comes to their analytical abilities, which can result in less academic support and lower expectations despite how intellectually capable they are. Colorism and featureism also played a role in the mistreatment of young dark skinned girls in school, not only by educators from their peers as well. Young dark skinned girls notice how much their peers and educators favor those with lighter skin, looser hair, or Eurocentric features, often receive more grace, protection, and the opportunity to exist without judgment from those same individuals. However, they are not given the same luxury, specifically when it comes to the texture of the hair and how they choose to express it outwardly. They are more likely to be disciplined for the secondary reasons, often more than their lighter complected and non-Black peers. The secondary reasons are often tied to what educators receive as a lack of respect for the dress code policy, or as I mentioned earlier, the kinky texture of their hair and the way which is often seen in a negative light. Based on the studies I've viewed, 4C hair is often linked to being unprofessional, unclean, and unacceptable in school settings. So it's not surprising that this discipline led to young, dark skinned black girls being sent home or even prevented from participating in school events of their choice for reasons related to their hair. Those policies are not merely about dress code, they are often silenced when it comes to the identity that black young girls carry. And it doesn't stop with adults in the educational system. Dark skinned black girls are targeted by their peers as well, especially those who have also been taught to have self hatred towards their own 4C hair. A good example of this issue comes from an article titled Thoughts on Texturism from the Black Feminist Collective, which highlights how deeply this conditioning has been tied to black, dark skinned women and girls when it comes to the self hatred they have over their hair. In December of 2019, an unknown writer talks about how she experienced texturism, self hatred, and the need to conform to Eurocentric beauty standards at just 8 years old, which is why my journal, Glow Princess, a shadow and self love journal for dark skinned black girls, is so important. This woman spoke on how she wanted to fit in with her white peers, since the texture of her hair made her stand out from them. In school, she noticed the difference in treatment she would get based on how she was perceived versus how her white counterparts were treated. Rather, she knew how to consciously put it into words at the time or not. She felt it. And that's how early this issue starts. The feeling of being different, that feeling of needing to change something about yourself just to be accepted in the world. And when that goes unaddressed, it doesn't just stay in childhood, it follows you. It shows up in how you see yourself, how you treat your hair, and even how you treat others who look like you. That's exactly why this conversation matters and show the role that Glow Princess plays in this discussion. The role my journal plays is first helping dark skinned black girls understand how words like good hair and bad hair created from texturism affect them internally, because it's not just something that impacts them physically. Secondly, Glow Princess ventilates their emotions without shaming them. Thirdly, it rewrites the narrative that tells us to hate our texture, feel the need to change it, or reject what we were giving. Instead, it teaches us to accept and embrace it, and mostly teaches us self love early. Gold Princess builds confidence instead of insecurity around their hair fully formed, helping them to develop a strong sense of self love. And lastly, it creates a soft, safe space where young, dark skinned black girls feel seen, heard, and celebrated for the texture of their hair, something that the world has often tried to make them feel insecure about. However, this issue goes beyond a child's impersonal environment. We also have to look at the bigger picture, what texturism looks like in today's society, because none of the issues young, dark skinned black girls face exist on their own. There's a system behind the reinforcement. By internalizing the beauty standards we see being promoted in mainstream media and then repeating them in our everyday reality, what mainstream media in today's society considers acceptable and unacceptable when it comes to our hair determines who gets praised and who gets rejected, who gets representation and who doesn't, or who gets underrepresented. The quicker we understand how well crafted this system is, texturism, along with colorism and featureism, was made to be, the quicker we can begin to unlearn, challenge it, and stop passing it down to our children. Until next time. But don't get it fucked up. There's more to come.
I became Nova Queen, I became Nova Queen. Stop saying sorry for my dreams. I take my space, I make my space. I wear my worth like diamond rings. I became Nova Queen, I became Nova Queen, I became Nova Queen.